Hello guys, how you doing? I hope everyone is fine. So today I have a video request from one of my favorite my subscriber who always comment on my videos. So that's 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 the topic gonna be for our this video, that how would I have kept Muhammad Hassan. I think it's a nice topic. How would I mean it's my own thinking. How would I kept Muhammad Hassan even after the controversy, even if I have to and put the world title on him, and how would I that go? So let's talk about that because I found that very interesting topic. So I decided to make a video because I never made a video about that. How would I have booked him, even I even if after the controversy, London bombing controversy, as the Muhammad Hassan, I still have to keep Muhammad Hassan somehow, somewhere like on UPN or on Raw or on pay-per-view or somewhere, or how I would have booked it. It's very interesting. So let's before that, let's just talk about some facts. I was doing some research and I found some very interesting things about Muhammad Hassan and all, because sometimes I go on research because I really want to know a lot, because I thought Bruce Pritchard the episode about Muhammad Hassan was going to reveal everything, but I didn't find all the answers that I wanted. I want to go really deep into this, what happened during that controversy during Muhammad Hassan run, and what it really made all those decisions. What made the decision that why they have to scrap Hassan altogether. Now, I mean, he could not even appear on Raw or pay-per-view, or they couldn't just bring him back after like 2 3 months on SmackDown, something like. I always need answers. I always like. I'm so obsessed about Muhammad Hassan character, and I want to know more. I want to learn more about that character. So whenever I get a chance, I just go on internet, Google them, find some places, and sometimes I don't find anything. Sometimes I find the same thing and again and again. But just make it short. I find some interesting things. So before we were talking about topic begins, I found out that it was not everyone blames UPN, because it's correct, because UPN was the one who was airing SmackDown at that time, and that's where Muhammad Hassan was at that time in SmackDown. So yeah, everybody knows that UPN forced WWE to drop the character from their network, and then a lot of people ask me, and I ask many questions to everyone too, that why they didn't just move him to Raw, or why didn't just move him to did something to keep him, did something. Maybe it's just making a little bit more light shot, like little less aggressive, being a little bit like a nice guy, just like he was when he was up here on a first promo, like you guys remember. So why didn't do that? So I just find a new answers that even it was not only UPN that didn't wanted that character. I think I made already video about that. Even Spike TV didn't wanted him. That's why they moved him to SmackDown, because there was so much pressure on you on Spike TV from the audience, whoever hated this character, whoever the sponsors or the people or the fans or the media, whoever. There was a lot of pressure. I think that's what I find out. I think it's an incredible source. I'm not lying. It's not me. It's from my research, and that's why they moved him to SmackDown, because Spike TV. Maybe I'm not sure. That's not how they say, but maybe they would have said, okay, we don't want this character right now, but just putting him back to put him to SmackDown, and after like next year we will bring him back again, when the sponsors and fans and media and all that shit, because there was still a lot of pressure, because this character was controversial, we have to agree. So that's why they moved him SmackDown. That's the other thing I find out, that because Raw Spike TV already have so much pressure from Arab countries, from Kuwait, from Saudi Arabia, to take this character down, because they think this was not unfair to them. I don't know. I don't know, they got offended. I don't know. You know, people get offended very quick. So that's why they moved into SmackDown. That's one thing I find out. The reason they didn't they didn't move this they didn't just move Muhammad Hassan from Raw to SmackDown just because they just wanted to push him on SmackDown. They would have pushed him on Raw too, right? And I mean, I think they are smart enough to know that Raw was live, so that's why he debuted on Raws. But the problem is, he was there for 7 months, and Spike TV felt the pressure, but they never said they want to ban the character because there was not any controversy at that time. So they said just move him to SmackDown, put him there, push him there, and bring him back next year when the draft took place again in 2006. We will bring him here again. That was the plan. I think that's what I believe. I think that's what my sources say, but I'm not maybe wrong. But that's what I believe. That's what I think. That's the first thing. But that's what I find out. That's why they moved Muhammad Hassan to SmackDown, because they did not. The Spike TV did not wanted them to Hassan be there on their show all year. So they'd want some other channel like UPN to take some heat and bring him back to Raw. That was the main thing. That why Muhammad Hassan was drafted to SmackDown. The other thing I find out after the London bombing controversy, it was not only UPN or Spike TV didn't wanted him. I find out Sky Sports that airs WWE at that time, I think it still does, in UK or in Europe, or they also did not. They literally just said, I read the article. I read the article. They just literally said, we do not, just like UPN, we do not want this character on their network too. So it was not UPN. I just find out this new story about this is a true story because I read some articles and it was like with great sources. It's not like a just bullshit character, bullshit reporter. So they say even the score in that was airing SmackDown in Canada, UPN in America, Raw, and Sky Sports, and there's so many other sponsors channels in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and so many in Arab countries or Asian countries, that a lot of those channels, right, especially after the incidents with London bombing and Mohammed Hassan, they didn't wanted him. It was not UPN. It was all over the world. I mean, you know what what I'm talking about. There was so much pressure on you on WWE and Vince to remove Mohammed Hassan forever. They made the mistake. WWE never should have did that angle, but they did it, and that London bombing happened, and it was a lot of pressure, man. Sky Sports, who airs the WWE in UK, literally said, kill the character. We will not air this character. We will not air SmackDown on their TV, because that was happening in UK, the London bombing. So Sky Sports airing Muhammad Hassan character on their TV would have offended a lot of more people, those sensitive people. I mean, it was just a character, I know, but it was on a real life. So that was another thing. That was a major thing, because there was so many sponsors that WWE had with UK, with Europe or Middle East, with Australia, New Zealand. So they just cannot lose those all sponsors and all those networks because of Muhammad Hassan. I know Muhammad Hassan was money, but he was not that, like, they could have scrapped John Cena too at that time if he was that controversial. They could do anything. This WWE, they could do anything to save. They just want to make money, and they realize that Muhammad Hassan is not gonna make money anymore. They're gonna lose money. They're gonna lose sponsors. They're gonna lose TV networks. That's why Vince knee-jerk reaction, they have to drop him, because there was no other way. There was no other way. They just cannot keep with that character anymore. I mean, no matter whatever they did, no matter what they could have done, it was just, that's it. That was the end of it. They just could not do anything with that character after that London bombing shit. That was it. So I hopefully I think you guys get it. I think I don't want to make it too long video because I didn't even get to the topic yet. And but this is just another second fact I told you guys. So there's another third fact. The other this is very interesting one because I already told you guys Umaga's manager Armando Estrada was the bodyguard of Muhammad Hassan and Diwari in OVW for 6 weeks. He was very green when and Diwari and Muhammad Hassan was already about to go to do house shows and go to Raw. They were already about there, but for 6 weeks in 2000, late 2004, like he was a bodyguard of Muhammad Hassan and Dawari, and he revealed that he just search on his videos, just say Armando Estrada interviews. He literally said that not a lot of people knows, but that was the truth that he was the bodyguard of Muhammad Hassan and Dawari in OVW for 6 weeks. But then they called up to main roster, but he stayed in OVW for 1.5 year and played that character until Paul Heyman changed his character to Armando Estrada, Osama Estrada, and something else to become manager of Umaga because he was half Cuban and he was half Palestinian. So he was half Arab and half Cuban. So it does make sense he was a bodyguard of Muhammad Hassan and Dawari because he was half Arab. So his name was just Osama in in OVW. It was it was great. I wish he was called up to OVW from to Raw with Muhammad Hassan and Dawari, but that didn't happen because it was too early for him. He wasn't ready for that level because they didn't prepare him for that much. I think he was very green at that time. He didn't have that much experience because he just started in 2004, and Diwari and Muhammad Hassan was around for there in OVW for like 3-4 years. Yeah, so but the other thing he said in the interview that he played that character Osama, Middle Eastern character, same to Iron Sheik, where Iron Sheik they played. He played that character for a year in OVW from 2004 to 2005 until London bombings. And here's another thing. Here's another interesting thing he says in his interview. He says he was about to called up to SmackDown and reveals that he was one of the masked men of of Muhammad Hassan and Dawari, and he was gonna be the bodyguard of them for in the future. He didn't knew that it was just a one time thing, or if he was going to be a part of the Muhammad Hassan cabinet. Like he was going to be that. Like they were about to make a cabinet thing of like JBL had a cabinet like Basham Brothers, Orlando Jordan, and JBL and all that. So they were going to add one more guy into that, and that was Osama Armando Estrada to be in that stable and make them as a he was a, like a but because they needed him because I think does make sense because Muhammad Hassan was going to get a huge push. He was going to fight with the Undertaker with Batista and for the world title, and then he had to fight with all the big face wrestlers in SmackDown. So they and it was a good add up to his stable, adding Diwari as a manager and Muhammad Asa and Asama as a bodyguard because that would have make a lot of sense because he played that character Osama in OVW for 1 year, so he was prepared. And Tommy Dreamer was the guy who was booked the contract with. So he said he was almost he they were gonna reveal. I don't know how this would have been went down because I've read somewhere I told you guys that Randy Orton was going to be one of the masked man guys who was going to do the RKO at JAB Great American Bash to cost Undertaker the match, and then they have a match at SummerSlam. But this would have been another interesting thing because I already told you guys who were the masked mans. I think Val Venus, Mike Knox, there was some two indie wrestlers, and one guy from OVW was the guys who was there when that incident happened, but nobody know who were there at that time. So they could have been anybody, so Armando Estrada reveals that he was going to be they were gonna reveal him as a bodyguard, and that was going to be the going way to after the victory over the Undertaker. That's was the that was going to be a storyline. He being bodyguarding Muhammad Hassan and Davari against Batista or any other wrestlers. So that makes more sense that Muhammad Hassan was gonna win the championship, and he needed someone more protection, more like strong, stable to keep his title with intact with him. So I think that's 100% correct, because he's why would he lie, in an interview. And it does make sense. I know he was Osama in OVW for a year, and also so that would have been so interesting, man. I mean they could have added Great Khali next year. So there's so many things. I already told you guys about this. They could have still wonders with the Sun character, but the controversy killed it, man. I would have loved to see Osama being another guy, a bodyguard of Muhammad Hassan, and they having this great stable where they been getting more heat. I don't know how long this would have lasted, but it would have been so interesting to see that one of the henchmen was going to be the Osama, and he was going to be the bodyguard for Muhammad Hassan in the future. So that would have been so interesting, and that didn't happen too. And same old story because of the London bombing. So let's get to the topic now. So let's say if the controversy already happened, and I still have to keep Muhammad Hassan character on. Okay, just like WWE and Vince, it would have been very hard for me. I'm nobody. I'm nothing, but it's just a fancy video right now. Before whatever I told you guys is true, but right now we are just thinking. Just a wishful thinking of me. Just my thinking. How would I have booked Muhammad Hassan even after the controversy and put the title on him? I think it would have been very hard. First of all, it would have been very hard to keep him after all those controversy and sponsorship and people were ranting about him and fucking this TV networks and all that shit. I think it would have been very hard. I could have kept him on as I would have booked him on a pay per view, but I think that was not gonna work because Muhammad Hassan, even he said in his interview that his character needed to be on every show on SmackDown to build heat, because he was gonna cut the promos, he was gonna do the matches to lead up to the show. It could have worked. Just Muhammad Hassan being banned from Raw and Smack, it would have been a great storyline. I would have booked him. And it could have worked. I'm damn sure it could have worked that he's banned. He's been facing so much hate, so much discrimination that even network don't want him on TV. So he's been banned from Raw. He's been banned from SmackDowns. So he has no choice but to appear on pay-per-views and defend his title over there. Whoever the opponent is just gonna fight for the title in on SmackDown, and he just gonna it would have worked, but just to see Muhammad Hassan once a month on pay-per-view, I think it would not have lasted too long, because the heat would have not been that much that he would have got on SmackDown or also. But that would have been my first choice. I would have booked him as a wrestler who just appears on pay-per-views because he's banned. That's a storyline. And it's not a storyline, it's true, because he was banned. It's truth, just like his character was true. He was banned, and I would have stick to it as long. I don't know how long this would have lasted, but then maybe Spike TV or UPN maybe allow him to come back after the heat died down of this shit. Maybe they could have just do something and bring him back on Raw again. That would have I would have booked him. Second choice, man, I don't think there was any choice. Okay, I would have moved him to Raw, or I would have Okay, let's suppose I would have kept him on SmackDown even after controversy, then I think I would have just booked him very like light, light type. There was very virgin of the characters. There was a Muhammad Hassan who was very aggressive and uh, very very aggressive in a way, with the way his promos and his matches were. So I would have kept him very low, like very soft on his character, just tweak a little bit, not to be too much heelish on his promos on America or anything, and his matches, and just go on with it. But I don't know how would I booked him, because with the controversy and all that, I still would have pushed him to the moon. I would have still made him to the championship. He would have been a championship, but there's so many choices. I mean, if I just have to think about it, I would have my first choice would have been he would have been a pair of ons, just pay-per-views. If not that worked, I would still try to bring him back on SmackDown, because that's where this whole shit happened. Because if I moved him to Raw, it would have to restart all over again, which could have been worked again, but as a very light. As you guys remember his first promo when he was appeared on Smack on Raw, I would have kept him very like very light, like type of a character that he appeared first time on TV. No heelish, no, not too much anti-American, not too much anti people, and no, not too much talking like the people will get offended easily. So I would have it would have worked seriously. Even if put him on a pay-per-view, it still would have worked for some months. Even if I put him on SmackDown or Raw, it would have worked. But I have to be like very careful with the character, with that all the controversy surrounding it. If I had given a chance to still run with the character, it would have been very mild character, very mild, not extreme, no radicalized character like they were made him after that, moving to SmackDown. So it would have been a very soft character, but still could have got heat. But I would not have did that again. That kind of a push that they gave him. I would have given some more chance or some time before that happening happens. But even if I think about this, I get I get feeling that it was very hard to keep him on the sun. Like I guys told you, it was very hard to keep him on the sun. I mean, everyone is like all over the world. Nobody wanted him. So how you gonna play with this character? Because you're gonna lose TV networks. You're gonna lose sponsors. You're gonna lose fans. You're gonna be criticized by media and all that shit. So it was hard, man. He has to be on pay-per-views. I hope I answer your questions, but it's hard, man. This character was just gone way out of control after the controversy, man. There was no way back of him. He just had to come back with a new character. If he had to stay in WWE, there was no way back of Muhammad Hassan coming back in any type of character of Muhammad Hassan. It would have been completely different character if he had to come back, because it's not just UPN. It was a lot of inside stories that we don't even know about. I mean, this is some of the things I know about, but there's so many other things that I don't know about the things. So it's hard, man. It was very hard to keep him, like after that, because sensitive people, offended people, it's very hard to convince them that this character is still legitimate to be portray on TV. Oh my god, it's hard. It was hard, man. So that's it, man. I would have kept him. I would have kept him. I mean, maybe not, because if I was Vince, maybe I will see about my sponsors, my money, and all that shit. Maybe I would have scrapped him too. but it was WWE mistake and they have to correct it. But if I have to keep him, that's the only thing to keep him, just beyond pay-per-views, because that's it. I mean, I can book him in many ways, but I think that's the only thing I can think of booking him out, even after the controversy. I would have still kept him. That's the thing. If I have to keep him or I want to keep him, that's the only way to go. And the longevity of that character was never going to be there. There was no. It could have happened. There could have been something else happen. So yeah, but the facts that I told you at the starting of this video is interesting, is very, very interesting. I hope you guys learned something from this video. I will try to bring more videos about what happened because I want to know more, because I think there's so many other things, that has been not told in the internet or in the media, what really happened to Muhammad Hassan, and is what happened, what was the feeling in that at that time in all over the world and in WWE. So I would have been loved to know more about, because I remember Bruce Pitchett was about to name one guy who was fucked it up for Muhammad Hassan is in his interview, Bruce Pitchett, but he didn't reveal the name. I want to know that guy. Who was that guy? And who was that writer that fucked him up big time? So there's more. The research is always going on. I wish, or I hope I find more about this. But the the things I told you in the video is absolutely accurate. It's absolutely correct. It's my hard work. I did a lot of research, and I hope it works and it helps you guys to know what really happened. We can't just blame the UPN. There were so many other factors has to be considered. That's why they just totally scrapped him, and that was the end of it, and they cannot bring him back until he comes back in a different name and different character. That would have been disaster too. But that's another story. That said, I think I don't want to make this video too long. It's already 27 minutes. So I hopefully next time I will come back with more videos. I have some projects for Mom Hassan, and I will see you guys soon, and I hope you guys learn from something from this, and take care. Thank you.